If every task feels harder than it should, your home might just be working against you. Too much walking, searching, and resetting is exhausting you. Zoning fixes that without buying a single bin. If you're a mom who dreams of that homestead life you see on Instagram, but you feel like you'd need an extra 12 hours in your day to make it happen, along with another set of hands, then Simply Living Homestead is for you. Hi, I'm Amanda, wife, mama, and milkmaid. I've learned the secret to simplifying my time and homestead to make room for the moments that matter. If you're ready to get time back in your day, manage your home with ease, and train your children in the way they should go, grab your pitchfork and planner, friend. Let's get to work. Hey friend, I just wanted to let you know, not sure what my coaching sessions are like, but you're curious to know. I have free 15-minute calls where we'll chat through what you're struggling with, whether home routines or time management, and you'll get a feel for how coaching with me works and whether it's a good fit. It's a simple, pressure-free way to explore what working together could look like. Go to simplylivinghomestead.com/chat to book today. Welcome back to the Homestead. Today we're breaking down what zoning actually is and why it works in homes and on homesteads and how to start simply. Have you ever heard about kitchen zoning? If not, it is something that is widely accepted in cooking communities, I guess. I'm not sure totally what to call them. Kitchens and chefs and that sort of stuff often used in commercial kitchens or restaurant kitchens, but is something that is like translated over into home design, which is something I find super fascinating. But it is a familiar concept to a lot of us, even if we don't know what to call it, or we didn't know that it was called zoning in a kitchen. There are, these are my favorite 5 titles for the zones. Sometimes people use different names for the zones, but basically when you are designing or organizing a kitchen, you need to follow 2 concepts. You need to follow the concept of a triangle between your 3 main appliances, the refrigerator, the sink, and the oven. And then your kitchen needs to be broken into sections, and everything that's kind of similar or fits into that category kind of stays in that section. And the sections are a storage zone, a prep zone, a cooking zone, a serving snack zone, and a washing up zone. And so when you are thinking about these different zones, you can look this up on Pinterest. Just kitchen zoning should get you to it, and you can see some visuals of this. But things that need to be put into, like the washing up zone, has everything that you would regularly be using on the regular. So your sink and your dishwasher needs to be kind of close together, and then your plates and your silverware and your cups and like the things that you're going to use for every single meal are going to be stored together and in close proximity. So when you're washing up and everything's getting put away at the end of the meal, it can get washed, dried, and put away, or it can get put in the dishwasher, and then the dishwasher goes through its wash and dry, and then you pull it out and you put it away. And you don't have to walk across the kitchen to do that. When I walk into a kitchen in someone's home and they haven't thought about zoning, they just kind of looked at the cupboards and said, well, that fits there. Or they are living in a home where they literally can't because the person who designed that kitchen did an awful job. Their kitchens are often really frustrating, and even the people living there will say that themselves, that they're taking extra steps to put something away, and it's frustrating. So the concept we're going to be talking about today is that our entire house works this way. Zones inside our home where we are doing things, where an activity is taking place, is going to be really important to understanding how to organize your home so that it actually functions for your family. Last week we talked about a style for organization, like how your brain operates when you are looking at a space. And today we're going to be talking about the space itself. So First off, your house is made up of rooms, right? And your different rooms are kind of like big zones in of themselves. There's a reason we call it the living room or the kitchen or, the dining room. It's the room where we dine. It's the room where we hang out and live. We've got, different rooms in the house, and these are kind of like big zones. We're already kind of breaking down the different sections of our house into what happens there. So each room has its primary purpose, and confusion starts coming in when these purposes aren't well defined. I have seen it on the short form media a lot of people talking about how they never use their dining room because they don't sit down and have a meal or like whatever. And the kind of the thing that some of them came to the conclusion of, well, if we don't do that and it's not in our family to try and force it, maybe that room should be zoned, not their words, mine, into something else. And they will take that room and they'll get rid of their kitchen table and they'll turn it into a multi-purpose room, or they'll maybe turn it into a school room or a craft room or something that their family is actually going to use. And suddenly this room has a purpose. Its purpose is defined. So I think you can probably, from those two examples, get a good grasp of what a zone is. We have a big zone in a room, and then we have smaller zones inside of each room. Just like in the kitchen, there's like 5-ish natural zones to your kitchen, the areas where certain tasks take place. The same thing happens in the rest of our home. Depending on what needs to happen in each of those rooms kind of defines what gets placed into those rooms, what objects are naturally being left there, how easy is it to reset, just all these things as we're looking at the rooms. Another concept is like the container concept. We won't touch on this super long here. It applies in a couple of ways, but a container concept is everything that you need for whatever is being stored there needs to fit inside the container. And so I would pose to you, the same goes for zones. Whatever needs to be happening there kind of needs to fit into the space that you have in that area. We don't want to be storing things across the house that needs to be used in a specific space unless you're living in such a small area that you can't. Like that's the only option. And even then, I think the question could be asked, do you need that item? And sometimes the answer is yes. Okay, sometimes the answer is yes. But we kind of need to live within the space that we have. A bigger house, you're going to be able to put a few more things into it as opposed to a small house. And paring your things down to that smaller space and then living within the size of zone or the size of container that you have can really help with that overwhelm and fatigue that you get from managing too much stuff in not enough space. So when we're talking about zones inside our homes, we're going to start watching where things land naturally. And we're going to start thinking about, okay, our big room, what's our room? And then what needs to take place inside that room? We're going to use my dining room as an example. My dining room is kind of a multi-purpose room. We have the front door is attached to the dining room. And while we do have a back porch, there is a fear of spiders in our family members. And so we kind of end up having to use the front door more because we have a lower chance of having spiders in our boots. So our front door really does end up being where we come in and out of the house all the time for basically anything except true chores. Like we're going to be poopy muddy, that goes to the back porch. But everything else, church shoes, town shoes, sandals, jackets, coats, all of it's at the front door. The worst part, we don't have a coat closet. None whatsoever. If you listened to last week's discussion about hidden organization, That bothers me a lot. It does. It bothers me a lot. To not be able to shut the door and not see the coats and the shoes and all the things. It's right there because we just had to turn a part of the wall into the landing zone for the entryway. So we have the entryway in our dining room. We then have the command center in the dining room because it is the center room of our house. Everything else branches off of it. You have to walk through it to get anywhere. You have to walk through it to get to the bathroom, to the kitchen, to the living room. Like all three of those rooms to get upstairs. All of those branch off the dining room. So the command center is in the most used room of the house. The dining room then has its table there, and our entryway is there. So our dining room has a lot of functions that it's having to perform. And if I don't zone the areas and say, this is taking place here, this is taking place here, this is where we store the items that are needed to do these tasks, it can get chaotic in our dining room so fast. We live in an old farmhouse. The rooms are small-ish. I've been in smaller farmhouses. I have. But they're not big. They're not ginormous rooms. And so for me, we have 3 zones in the dining room. We have the command center zone. We have the entryway zone. And then we have the dining room zone. The entryway contains all of our shoes, racks for our shoes, hooks for our coats, and a shelf above the coats for hats and gloves and those sorts of things. The command center then has, it's a 4x3, 3x4, 3 up and 4 across, one of those cube organizers. And so I have a 12 cubes that I can store different things in it. We have Emerson's schoolwork there. We have a small box for craftable things that Emerson likes to play with a lot. We have a box for cords and just things that we need to be accessing quite a bit, like extension cords for the house. We have one for pets. We've got a couple of dogs, and so like the dog treats and the leash is there. Anyway, so we've got like things in that, but each of those things has a reason for being in that room. And then the third thing is we have the dining room, which is the table and a china cabinet. And so those are the 3 zones that are in that room. So one, I have defined what is taking place in that area. And then once I've kind of defined that, okay, we've got a command center, we've got a entryway, and we've got dining room. That's the things that need to be happening in this room. We're going to start watching how the family naturally uses that space. And are there things that don't live there that are landing there on a regular basis? The thing that I see land in that area the most is things that need to go outside. And the way that we combated that was we put a basket there for things that need to, well, we actually have 2 baskets. We have a small basket for things that need to go to a family member. Like it needs to be taken out and taken to grandma's house, or it needs to be taken out and taken to great grandpa's house, or something like that. We have a small basket for that in the cube organizer. And then we have a basket that's kind of just sitting in front of it because we don't have a good place to shove it right now. I could move some plants, I suppose. Because my flowers are there because it's also the biggest window in the house. Anyway, but we have a basket, and that contains a bunch of the things that need to go outside, or go to the garage, or go to the barn, or go to the shop. Like they got brought in and they didn't get taken back out yet. And when that basket is full, that means it's time to pick it up and carry the things back to where it goes. Maybe you have to make a couple of trips, but you go, oh, I need to take care of that. So I was watching what things were landing there, and it started creating a hotspot. It started creating a pain point where I was getting stuff piling up in the corner of the room, that didn't have a home to go to in that room. This is a clue as to where you need to adjust. Sometimes the answer is rezoning, rather than trying to force items to go to another place. For us, it just meant that we needed to give it a temporary home till it could go to its permanent home. Other times, you're going to look at it and go, no, we're actually doing that activity here. Can we put those items here? An example of that is Emerson's schoolwork was always being left on the table. And that's where we were doing schoolwork, right? So rather than trying to truck it back into the office every single time we did schoolwork, goodness, my tongue is getting all twisted up, it would be far better for us to look at our organizer and say, is there something here that's not really regularly getting used? Can I make a spot for a basket for the school stuff? And the answer is yes, I can definitely do that. And all of a sudden, it's easy to put the schoolwork away. It's easy for it to have a home where it's being used. I am on a roll today, and we are just like spending a lot of time talking, so I hope that you are having a good time. We're going to just recap what I said. Hopefully we're going to make this a little bit more concise, and we're going to just rock and roll through these points here for identifying your own zones. First off, start with what happens, not what should happen. What tasks actually happen there most often? We're going to name the primary purpose of the space in a sentence and kind of go, this is a zone. This is what is happening here. And then we're going to watch how our family uses the space. How do you enter the house? Where do items naturally get dropped? Where do you stop mid-task to look for something? Are you having to trek across the house to find something that's living somewhere else that you actually use there? These are use hotspots as clues. If something is piling up, or if you're constantly like having to break your focus to go find something, that is a hotspot. Piles, missing, or like things are piling up. That is a hotspot. Overflowing, like there's too many items there. Either your zone is too small or you have too much stuff, and you have to decide what's going to work better for you, your family, and your space. Do you pare down on your items, or do you rezone it so that you have more space to do the task that you need to do? So we're either going to rezone the space or we're going to refine it, and maybe we don't need 3 of those same item. Maybe we only need 1 or 2. That is something that you get to decide. I'm not a minimalist. I am not advocating for you to throw all your things away, but you do have to look at your home and the space of your home and how you use the items. And sometimes you have to ask yourself the hard questions of, do I really need that many? And the answer might be yes. And if you do, then you have to figure out how to rezone it so it works. Keep your zones simple. Fewer categories, clear boundaries does help with the reset, unless your entire family is a hidden micro organizer. And frankly, if your entire family is a hidden micro organizer, you're probably not needing to listen to this podcast. Really and truthfully, you're probably not needing to listen to this podcast. Tell me your secrets for how you got your family to do that. You probably didn't. They were probably born that way. Anyway, chances are you have someone in your family that is either visual or they do things in bigger categories. So keeping things simple until you know that you can break it down into a more detailed category is probably always a good choice. Because I have found that it is harder to maintain smaller categories, even for someone who does really feel like I am a detailed hidden organizer. It's harder to keep those defined and really keep those smaller categories well organized. So start bigger, and if you're nope, I need this broke down again, break it down again. And that's okay. It's going to take you a little bit to get into a flow and figure out where you need stuff. The goal is for your space to be easily reset. It's very easy for you to put back to that baseline condition. And that's basically what we're going to do, is you're going to look at each individual space. You can start with a room and kind of zone it, and then pick an area and just work on that. You don't need to zone your whole house right away. One clear zone can reduce daily overwhelm. We're not aiming for Pinterest. We're leading with discretion and a decision that is going to work for you and your family, not for the prettiest thing on Pinterest. So today, I hope you got something out of that. And I'm going to challenge you. Here's our action item of the day. We're going to pick one zone to define this week. Think about your house. Where is a hot spot that's really bothering you? And go to that area, write or think out a one-sentence description of its purpose. Share inside the community group what zone you chose, its purpose, and then what you plan on doing to help make that space more usable for your family. And if you don't know, you're like, this is the zone, this is what I need it to do, and I don't have a clue, post it anyway. Tell us. I'm sure we can come up with some ideas that can really help you work through those hotspots and those pain points in your home and make your home function for you and for your family. Creating one small zone can change the feel of your whole house, and it can build momentum to move on to the next things. If you found that interesting, if you found that fascinating, and you'd like to go deeper, you'd like some personalized coaching, or you'd like someone to walk through and hold your hand with that, or just give you some motivation to get in there and get it done, I would invite you to set up a call with me. I offer free consultation calls where you can jump on and just have a quick discussion with me and see if I would be the right fit, or jump straight in and let's do some coaching, let's do some guidance, and as always, let's continue the zoning conversation inside our Facebook community. All the links are down below. Until next week, I hope you have an awesome week, and goodbye. Hey neighbor, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share this episode with a friend who is knee-deep in their own homestead? Also, please leave me a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. It thrills me to know that this podcast is helping you. Keep watching those sunsets, friend. I'll meet you back here on the homestead soon for another episode. See ya!